Hello and welcome to the ROKER Report Exiles podcast in association with Vaux Breweries. I'm Brett Lyons-Davis from Milton Keynes, and today on the pod we'll be talking about Sunderland's win over Southend, looking forward to the FA Cup on Saturday, as well as keeping half an eye on tonight's game against Leicester under-21s. I caught up with Les Davies from the Thames Valley Mackems, and we've also got plenty of your stories to tell as well. And not only that, playing away has now got serious. It's now become a season-long game. We'll find out which exile truly knows their stuff. This week, I'm joined by the man from the future, Martin Wanless, who is in Australia.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Morning. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
So today is Wednesday morning, 7 o'clock for you, I believe.
It is. That is correct. Yes, and we've got the Sunderland and Leicester stream on in front of me here, so 1-0 up at the moment.
I heard it, yeah. Maguire scored an absolutely cracking free kick.
It's a nice one, yeah, right in the top corner.
So he can do it when he wants to. I am also joined by probably the most beautiful of all the exiles. It's Gary Winter from London. Hello, Gary.
What an intro, Brett. Cheers for that.
I think Niall's expecting an introduction there, wasn't he?
I was just waiting for my name. I can't believe he said that. Oh, well. You know.
And of course, last but by no means least, we are joined by the Blythe Hawk himself, Niall Bromley. How are you, Niall?
How's it going? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. So you're normally south of France, but you're still over here up in Blythe, aren't you?
Yeah. I've just come back on a long drive from the Midlands this afternoon. I'm a bit of everywhere at the minute, but I'm in Blythe for the next week or so, and then I'll be back away. And aye.
So will you be taking the game at the weekend? Then I take it.
Yeah. Well, I'll not be going on Saturday. No. Who have we got? Have we got Gillingham on Saturday?
Gillingham in the Cup.
Gillingham in the Cup. No, I'll not be going on Saturday, but that's because it's me. Well, I know this is a disgrace, but it's my niece's first birthday, so I've been roped into going to that instead, unfortunately.
That's okay, mate. Family comes first. Don't worry about that.
Nah, I'm not happy about it, but we'll deal with it.
You'll deal with it. Right then, chaps, let's get straight down to business. Obviously, this weekend, beat Southend. I went up for that one. My first home win in 4 years, which is quite an unbelievable statistic. Let me jump to you first, Gary. What were your thoughts on the 1-0 win?
I guess overall pretty pleased with it. A win's a win. Take the positive, the clean sheet as well. If we're being picky, would love us to have given them a bit of a bashing like we did Tranmere, but as I say, I'm a bit miffed by some of the negativity I've read. Basically, we've won the game, but I can understand where some are coming from. But I think we've just got to dust that off and move forward. I don't think we can expect to just go and thump every team in this league, match the best result of every team against some of these so-called poor opposition. So I say generally happy with the result.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there. I wouldn't say obviously I went up for it, and I will be honest, it was a dull game. One thing I think I said on the pod a couple of weeks back that if we won every game 1-0 this season, I'd be quite happy. But I think a lot of people seem to forget that it's Phil Parkinson's been in charge 4 or 5 games now. It's going to take time to get his style of play across, I suppose. Martin, what do you think? I know obviously for the game itself, did you get a chance to watch it down there in Oz?
I must admit, I watched the extended highlights. I did intend to get up for the game, but I watched the Rugby World Cup final with a few beers and I actually slept through the alarm. But having watched the highlights, and look, I think you've got to take it in the context of where we are this season, right? Positives, second clean sheet, right? We didn't have any clean sheets before Parkinson arrived. Second home game in a row, second clean sheet. I think with that sort of game where people expect us to go in and hammer somebody, it's always a different sort of challenge for the players and for the fans. And it's the second goal that always is crucial in that, because while it's 1-0, Southend have something to hang on to, and all they need is a set piece or a mistake, and they can nab an equaliser. Once we get the second one, as we showed against Tranmere, we got the second one really quickly, and then that forces them to come out a little bit. And it's always getting that second goal that's crucial in that. And we just couldn't get that second goal. But I think great goal that we scored. It was a cracking goal, great cross from Hume, and 09 finished it off really well. I loved his celebrations, by the way. I just think that's how any of us would celebrate scoring a goal for Sunderland. Like it's just classy enthusiasm, and that's what we've been crying out for.
Well, I think that's what I think everyone really appreciates about. Everyone really appreciates about Luke 09 is his enthusiasm is infectious. You know,
it replicates what we feel, and we've been crying out. You look at people who we've had to endure, like Januzaj and people like that, who didn't want to be there, and you've got a kid there who loves it, and I just think that's class.
No, I agree. And I think from the very first time he signed, I think he put on his Instagram, there's videos of him driving up to Sunderland in his car, and he just looks like he wants to be here. And that's what's really refreshing about him. And at top off, he's actually, at the moment, by far and away, probably our best player, I'd say. Maybe not technically, if you compared like some McGeady, but for form, he's clearly our best player.
He's certainly in form. I think, he's been shifted he's played right back, left back, and behind the strikers this season. And I think getting him settled in a position is going to be crucial, really. And I think Parkinson's only really played him out at full back out of necessity rather than desire so far. But I think him and I think Denver Hume deserves a lot of credit. Like the last 2 or 3 games, he looks as if he's been given a real purpose by Parkinson. And I think the threat that he can offer coming down that left flank, he looks great going forward. And I think it's going to be crucial how Parkinson can actually set the team up to just cover him a little bit. Like if you remember when Van Aanholt was playing under Allardyce had Mvia. Whenever Van Aanholt went forward from the left, Mvia just took a couple of steps backwards and a couple of steps to the left and covered Van Aanholt's runs. And we just Parkinson is just needing to figure out that system to give Hume that protection to go forward, because obviously he doesn't get it from McGeady. So we just need to figure out how to enable Hume to give us that attacking threat, I think.
No, definitely. And I'll bring in Niall now. So not hearing Martin saying there about Denver Hume, obviously, in my eyes, he's really improved just over the last sort of 5-6 weeks. Where you sort of stand with that?
Yeah, it was by far his best game he's played for us yesterday, wasn't it? I think Parkinson's kind of getting a bit more out of him. I don't know if you lot noticed, but for me personally, and not just Hume actually, the balls were coming into the box a lot earlier on Saturday, and there have been over the last few weeks. I think it's getting early balls in, instead of sort of festering and maybe he's taking an extra touch and looking for McGeady or looking for Maguire to swing them in. It looks like they're just getting early balls in the box, and then when you've got the likes of Luke 09 who can break lines and can get in behind and make runs from anywhere in the pitch. Like these balls need to be coming into the likes of him because he can, that he can finish, and not just him. There's a few of the players can get on the end of them, and the more balls you put in the box, the more goals you're going to score, especially at this level. So maybe we're lacking in height. So maybe when Charlie White comes back in, that'll be massive for us. But certainly Denver Hume looks like he's doing that, and looks like Parkinson's got a kind of method and kind of way that he wants him to play. And I think Denver Hume looks like he's responding to it really well. So hopefully that's not even the best that we'll get out of him. Hopefully he can just keep on improving week in, week out.
No, I actually find it really frustrating when I hear a lot of supporters criticise Denver Hume defensively, because I do believe now that where modern football is, your fullbacks, they're almost like the wing back. They're overlapping. They're putting crosses in, and almost defensively, that's the second part of their job, which sounds really silly. They're playing at left back. Very few players can do defensively and going forward to a high level. Someone like Ashley Cole, for instance, I would never obviously compare him with Denver Hume, but he is the pinnacle of a left back who can both defend and attack. If Denver Hume could do both as good as each other, he's not playing for League One Sunderland. So, he is going to make some errors, I think. But I think he's come on absolutely leaps and bounds.
Definitely.
He's a kid. He's a kid. He's played 10 games or something.
He is a kid, but you say that, but he's had a long time in the academy as well. I think, no disrespect to Denver Hume, but I think these relegations might have benefited him getting into the team a lot quicker than what he possibly would have done. But the problem with him as well is he's not had a chance to go on loan. And I think personally, I don't know about you lads, but personally, I think getting these young players on loan is crucial. We don't really seem to do it that often. I know Ethan Robson's out on loan at the minute, but and Embleton went last season, but I do think that getting these players on loan is crucial. Hume's having to come straight in from the youth, and he's having to adapt straight into playing professional football without having played in the conference or League Two, first, which is probably difficult for these young players.
Oh, it's got to be. Like, if you look at the two shining lights of the academy over the past 10 years, Pickford and Henderson, both of them had good loan spells out before they actually made it in the first team with us.
I think Pickford played in basically every league, didn't he?
He did. He did. Pickford had a lot of loan spells, and Henderson only had a couple of months at Coventry. But as soon as he had those couple of months, he came straight back and he was involved in the team. And it's just critical for the development to actually get a bit of football in them.
No,
the trouble is now, guys, we're in League One now, though. That's the difference. When you're Premier League and you look at some of the teams that we're playing each week in League One, they're doing what you'd expect, which is taking Premier League youngsters. I guess I don't know how normal it would be for many teams to look into our side. I think we probably can't even loan them in the same league, but even League Two is not that big a step up. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Gary. Like, he doesn't. I don't think he's got the opportunity, or he has had the opportunity to get a loan. So he's come through straight from the under-23s and straight from the youth, straight into the team. So I totally get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, I think that's probably why he's had a slow start and why he hasn't adapted. Because just imagine he had these poor 10 games or so that he's played. I'm not saying they were all poor, but you know what I mean. At another club, most of our fans wouldn't have even seen that, and then he would
very true.
Yeah, and then come into how he is now. Imagine that was his debut after a loan away to a lower league club. I mean, we'll be thinking, my God, we've got a player here.
And I think it's all relative as well. It's all relative to the position that we're in, isn't it? So when we were in the Premier League or Championship, you loan players to a division or two down. And we've got to do the same. Like, Ethan Robson's out at Grimsby now. Embleton was out at Grimsby last season. I think Jack Diamond's somewhere in the Conference North or something, and it's just getting that football that actually matters to the people who are playing it, rather than these glorified friendlies that they play in the under-23s.
So in regards to things like that, well, obviously, the game we've got on at the moment, we've got in some of our, like, we should really be blooding more youngsters, I think, in these games against like under-21 teams like Leicester. Looking at the game we've got tonight, the only person in that team is, you can even class as a youngster really, is Benji Piakoka, who I hope I got that name right. But if you look at the rest of the team, you've got McLaughlin in goal, McLaughlin on the bench, in defence, Ozturk, Flanagan, De Bock, McGeoch, Ledbetter, Maguire, Watmore, McNulty. So we're not actually blooding any youngsters in tournaments which should really be designed to blood them.
I think if we were top of the league and Parkinson had been in charge all season, we'd see a very different team.
So you're saying use these games more than to sort of keep trying to fine tune exactly what he wants.
Fine tune what he wants, and also give, like, a lot of the players who he's playing there, like Ledbetter, McGeoch, De Bock, Ozturk, haven't actually played a great deal of football under him, so you'll want to see them in a competitive game as well.
Yeah, but even his bench today is very strong. Even the bench as well. Willis, Power, 09, McGeady, Greg, Hume. That's a really strong bench. The only thing I can assume from that is that it'll be interesting. Well, I'll be interested to see what team he plays on Saturday in the FA Cup. Is any sort of youngsters going to be coming into that game? I know we've not. It looks like the Bristol City game is going to get called off due to international call-ups. So it's quite interesting how serious are we taking each of these cups. Like today, do you guys, how do you feel about this EFL trophy now? Do you want it on the Chiblease.com? Do you want to be in it? where do you guys stand? Niall, I'll start with you. What do you want us to get out of today's game?
I'll be brutally honest. To win the games, it means build momentum, which is something that we crave. If we do win tonight, strictly speaking, that's 2 wins in a row. So this is something that, I think it is important. But, if for some whatever reason somebody else scores more goals than us and ends up going through and we don't, I don't think any Sunderland fan will complain. It's last season, Brett, we played 60 games, and you could tell at towards the end of the season, April, May, those lads were absolutely knackered. Those lads were done, which was proven with the performances. We lost our last 2 league games. We weren't great. We scraped past Pompey in the playoffs, and then that performance against Charlton was lackluster. There was no motivation in it. It was poor. And I don't want to see that happen again. And I just think, like I say, it's the same with Gillingham next week. For me personally, if we're getting knocked out with these, I'm not saying go out and lose, but to be honest, I think that'll be a blessing if we get knocked out with these cups. I just think we need to focus on getting out of this league. We already played 46 games. We don't want to do another 60 game season. It's too much. It totally showed last year. So for me personally, like I say, momentum. Win the games, obviously. Don't ever lose a game on purpose, but I do think that we do need to just look at the league. And if we were to get knocked out, I don't think it's the end of the world.
Gary, where do you stand on that then?
For me, I guess when we came into League One, I was a bit of an idealist. I thought we could bleed a lot more youngsters in the league, but then I forgot the kind of pressures that surround this football club when they're not winning, particularly at this level. So I've kind of abandoned that thought. But then it's still disappointing then that even in these little trophies, we can't just put more youngsters in the team, give them minutes, give them experience. But then Martin, I think, made a good point there, or Niall, that that Parky's only been in for 5 games. So understandably, he'd want to just test out some players, give some players some minutes, get more of an insight into what some of these guys are about. So I totally see that angle. So really, I wouldn't want to play that kind of lineup that I see on the team sheet tonight, but I understand why he's done that. Me personally, I don't see the harm in being in these competitions, provided you use the squad, because we can't hide behind it. It's just we're in League One, yet we have a ridiculous sized squad. It must be something like 25 players, and you could probably bolt on some academy players to that as well. Whereas I think the average team in this league probably only has maybe 11 or 12 first team players, and the rest of the bench is filled with youngsters. And I don't know if that's good or bad for us, but it's just, I don't know. I just think that's why some teams just, I think, hate us in this league. Just we're a bit spoilt and we don't really realise it. And I don't know if we were in this league again next season, I guess the investment's coming now, but I just wonder if we'd end up stripping back to that kind of squad or depth or lack of. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but for me, this competition, just we should be able to use this squad without it impacting the rest of the league schedule.
That is one thing we are blessed with, I do think, in this league. And I was just, as you were talking there, I was looking at the team sheet we had, we've got, and I'm just looking at a straight 11 for 11. So take McLaughlin out, put Virgin, Ozturk and Flanagan. You've got Willis,
Willis, yeah.
You've got the Bok, you've got Hume. You can go through that team, and literally 11 for 11. We've actually got 2 very good 11s in that team. So I do think we should be, we can play strong too. I don't think a cup run isn't a bad thing, because that key word being momentum. I'd like to see. I think really we should just focus on more one than the other. If I'm honest, realistically, we're not going to win the FA Cup, but I'm sure get through the first few rounds, if you can get a good a TV game, that's more money into the club. So I don't think that's a particularly bad thing, because we do, obviously we've got the investments now, but we still need to make money. Martin, what do you think Saturday then, based on today's lineup? What lineup would you be playing against Gillingham in the FA Cup?
It would probably be something closer to what we saw last weekend, I suggest, rather than the fringe players who are getting in tonight. I think I'm right in saying that we've got Scunthorpe in the leasing.com trophy next midweek. Then the game against Bristol Rovers the following Saturday is likely to be called up. It hasn't already. I think McLaughlin's got called up for Scotland today.
That's right.
Really,
That's right.
you're looking at it, and there's potentially a fortnight between the Southend game, or no, 3 weeks between the Southend game and our next league game. So, I can completely understand Parkinson using the first team squad to keep fitness up, build a little bit of momentum. But the other aspect to it is, if you're going to introduce younger players into the team, those younger players have got to be there. And I haven't seen a great deal of the under-23s or under-18s this season. A few clips on the website, but the results suggest that there aren't too many players who are genuinely knocking on that door who've got a chance of being selected.
Can I just quickly wave in? Is there not I'm sure there's a rule, for the EFL trophy about a selection regulation. I think your players have made a certain amount of appearances or something. It's basically to stop them just playing their under-21s against an under-21 team, I think. But
there is. I think there's so many permutations you can get around it pretty easy. I think you've got to have a number of people who played in the last game or have made 50 plus career appearances and all this sort of stuff. I think it's so loose you can pretty much work your way around it. But you're right, Niall. There is some selection criteria there.
Yeah, so that's
true. I think we forget that we're in it. I think we forget that we're in it as a League One team.
It's not our under-23s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's not as easy to kind of play a weekend team. And the thing is, I totally agree what you've all said, to be honest. But I do think back to what Gary said when he said about, obviously, using the size of the squad and stuff like that. For me personally, that, it wouldn't necessarily build that momentum you want, because I think if you're going to do it, just play your best 11 and get momentum. But if you're going to play, players who don't really get in the team and players who we all basically think they're not good enough, I'm not sure the benefits that's going to bring, because then you're just going to get through the rounds, or you're going to get knocked out, or you're going to get through the rounds, like I say. And then in the last few rounds, we'll just do what we did last year and play strong teams regardless. And then, like I say, it means games in hand as well. And it's just, I know what you're saying, and maybe I am sounding a little bit kind of stupid, but games in hand is something that killed us last season. And like I said before, 60 games did as well. So that's my outlook on it.
No, that's fair enough, mate. It's fair enough. Well, I'll leave that part there. And what I've got next, though, is after Rich spoke last week to Sean Coxon from the North America branch, we thought it'd be great to get another person on from one of the branches, this time in the UK. And I caught up with Les Davies from the Thames Valley Mackems, who set up the branch this season. And here's what he had to say. I'm speaking down the line to Les Davies from Ascot, who has started the new Thames Valley Mackems Sunderland supporters group. Les, how you doing?
I'm good, Brett. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Les. Very well. I'm very pleased after that win at the weekend, I must say.
3 points is always tops off the weekend, isn't it?
No, it's very nice, mate. So, Les, before we start talking about the Thames Valley Mackems, you've obviously, like myself, are Southern-based, and you've ended up with the curse of supporting Sunderland. How did you get yours?
So I was brought up in South Bucks, a little town called Ivor. My dad, I start with my nan. My nan was born in Southwick, moved down in the war, met my granddad from Oxford, and then my dad has always lived in the area, so he was brought up in sort of Hillingdon area, so local clubs of Brentford and QPR, people like that, and ultimately just got the curse from my old man, really. And I think And I guess when you go into school in sort of Slough area, you've got Man United fans, Liverpool fans. We even had a Geordie boy there as well. It's a bit difficult, especially in the 90s, with all the Londoners really supporting those teams. But I think it was 1998 in the Charlton FA Cup, not FA Cup, sorry, the playoff finals. Wish it was an FA Cup. Ultimately, that was the day that sealed it for me. A lot of my Auntie Pamela's friends came down from Sunderland. It was a big community feel, and even though we lost the game, I've never seen a more supportive set of fans ever. And I think that was the day when I was probably 10 years old then, where I just thought, well, this is more than just a football team and winning. It was that community feel that I think has been highlighted recently in the Sunderland Till I Die documentaries, and one of the reasons why we've got fans all over the world, really.
No, it's good that, and I know that myself, obviously living down south, and like you said, everyone I know supports like Man United or the London, like the Arsenals or the Spurs, and it's not sometimes like I said, you've had your family come down. I know when I've sort of gone up at a young age, and then you've seen all the other red and white shirts. You've seen how big a club Sunderland is, because we are, especially down to Southern, like non-Sunderland Southern fans, we're a bit irrelevant to them, but we're actually, as I say, a massive club. And I know from doing obviously the podcast now, there's fans of us. We're everywhere. We're absolutely everywhere, and it is great to see. So you said, how many sort of times do you get to games? Do you have, how many times, not like for a season, I suppose for yourself, it's mostly be away games and then the occasional home games, is it? Or
yeah, I try and get to as many away ones as possible. Obviously, the local ones are a little bit easier, which in League One is a bit more challenging than it had been in the Championship and things like that. But I think I got into double figures last year, and this year we met at Shrewsbury, the Oxford game, and then I got married this year, so I'm going to be on my honeymoon over sort of the Christmas period. But as soon as February kicks in, I think most of the local games to me are all in the second part of the season anyway. So I'd probably say between 6 and sort of 12 a year.
No, that's great. It's very similar to myself, mate. It's really similar to me. So you've started up the Thames Valley Mackems. For people who aren't too aware of the area, what sort of area does that cover? First of all,
so I guess Thames Valley strictly, well, I guess not in our eyes, but Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire and Berkshire, I guess, is what you class as the Thames Valley traditionally. But to be honest, it's, for me, it's the surrounding areas, of that. There's no real, limits to it. If that's, your closest branch and you want to get involved, then, the more the merrier. And I think we've got, people that are down in Southampton and as far out as Bristol and places like that, which, they might not be, coming to the socials, but I think it's important just to have that sense of community away from the club as well. So I'm quite relaxed on it, to be honest.
So what made you sort of start up in the first place then?
So I was actually listening to the Exiles podcast when I decided to actually do it. I'd spoken with my dad and my brother about ultimately not having much of it certainly felt like there wasn't many Sunderland fans in the area, and it was harder and harder to go to the games. And I was on my way up to Manchester for work and decided to start the group. And I think it was about 6 a.m. when I did it. I think Stuart Donald quickly retweeted the tweet. There was a couple of others that had retweeted, like ROKER Report and people like that, and it just sort of kicked off from there. And I think there was about 180, 200 followers in the first sort of 48 hours, and there was people saying, I'm from Maidenhead, I'm from even Ascot, Wokingham, all the places that are literally a stone's throw from me, that were Sunderland fans. And some of them went to the game, some of them didn't, and were all keen to support it and get involved. So really, really good response. And I think it's just one of those things where it is, it's hard being a Sunderland fan anyway, especially when you live there, but when you're a little bit further away, and it means that you can't have those genuine conversations, which is what I think football is all about, is the debate and, the general passion. It makes it a little bit harder. So, already we've had a couple of meetings, and, there's already a good little group that we've got, and we're having to, we can talk about it in ways that we wouldn't do before. So, well, I think it's been a massive positive, and I've just been really thankful for the response, really.
No, it's fair. It's been a great group, because I met up with you guys. Obviously, I'm in Milton Keynes. So I am part of the Thames Valley, I met with you guys at the Oxford game last week. I must actually say, because I did get told off by Rob Harrison, who is in the group, while I was stuck in the car trying to get out of that car park last week for 17 hours, it felt like. I forgot Rob's name, and I did just refer to him as Kieran's dad. So obviously when the pod went out, I got a little message from Rob saying, by the way, it is Rob, not Kieran's dad. So Rob Harrison, I apologise to you, sir. But no, it was great meeting up with the guys, and obviously your wife Lily, who very happily wore a yellow coat for us all when we played Oxford.
Shocker there, didn't she? Absolute shocker.
It did make it very easy to find you, though. That was helpful. But no, it was good to meet you guys there. What other games have you been to so far this season, did you say?
So Shrewsbury was obviously the first meeting, Oxford, and then I was due to go to the Bristol Rovers game, but I'm not going to be attending that one anymore. So that's probably it now for this side of the year, and then hopefully get to a couple more in 2020, because a lot of them are actually down here, which is handy as well.
Yeah, so I imagine actually the 18th, 19th weekend is MK Dons. So yeah, that is in your turf, I suppose now, isn't it? So
up near you as well, yeah.
Yeah, if you need any ideas where to meet up, just let me know. I'll give you a few pubs. So away from actual meets on a match day, then is there any plans to sort of do meetups as a sort of social events, sort of later in the year or early next year?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'll try and do some an unofficial one, probably that's around sort of Christmas time, just with the people that might be a bit more local that I've met so far. But going to put something more official together in sort of February time, which hopefully we'll be able to talk more about in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, for sure, I'm fairly open with how it grows and develops, and ultimately want it to be a group where we all decide what we want to ultimately get from it and do from it. So anything we can do in the future, I'm all for. So if there's any suggestions from fellow members, get them in.
No, definitely fantastic. So anybody who wants to get involved with the Thames Valley Mackems, what's the Twitter handle that they need to go to?
So it's at TV Mackems.
So at TV Mackems there. So if you're in the Thames Valley area or even outside of it, get in touch with the guys. You say, it's really, nice bunch of guys to meet up with. And it's well worthwhile doing. So Les, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brett. It's been awesome. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for your time, Les, and good luck going forward with the Thames Valley Mackems. Hopefully some more people will get involved.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye now. That was Les Davies there from the Thames Valley Mackems, who I spoke to yesterday. Right, we're going to play Playing Away. Now, this has changed slightly because previous 2 weeks we've been playing for fun. As you might remember, Martin Wanless came up with this game. We mocked him for it, and we all quite like playing it, so we're going to keep going. However, this time, though, we are going to do a league over the year to see which of our exiles knows Sunderland best. So I've picked a game from this day, obviously 5th of November. The guys will take it in turns to pick a player from the starting 11. They have 2 lives each. If they pick a wrong player or pass, they lose a life. If they do name a sub, they can get another go, though. Winner is the last man standing. In the result of both losing a life on in the result of both losing a life on the same go, sudden death. If all players named while 2 are still in, both get a point. The winner gets 2 points. Is that clear, gentlemen? Or is that as clear as mud?
2 points for a win. Excellent. Yeah, all good.
A lot of rules there, Brett.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
I'll just wing that one, mate. I'll wing it.
We spoke about earlier in the pod, and I did put the rules in, and then I came back 3 hours later. Oh no! What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? So at some point, something's going to happen. And I've not justified it for it. I've not planned for it, and we'll see how it goes. But
when does VAR get involved? That's the question.
Oh God, don't you start on that. So 5th of November, it is Millwall versus Sunderland, 2004-2005 in the Coca-Cola Championship. Unfortunately, we did actually lose 2-0 at this game, but to give you some clues, Mick McCarthy was manager, and we wore our Deodora kits with a Reg Vardy sponsor. Another little clue, though, we lost. This is the only one of 3 games we lost that season, so it's quite unlucky for me to actually find this one. Martin, I'll let you go first, though, since it is your game officially.
Oh, very kind.
So it's Millwall 2, Sunderland 0. Mick McCarthy was manager.
Right, I'm gonna go for a lad who I think was playing centre half that day. Steve Caldwell.
Steve Caldwell is in the team. Right, Gary, I'll let you have a go next.
Oh, this is horrible.
Do you know what? It's one of those teams, actually. When I picked this one, I thought, oh, that's actually quite a tricky one. And then I think certain players will unlock other players. I think that's for the best. I think that's what will happen on this one.
I'm going to go on an obvious one from me for Mick McCarthy. I'm struggling, so I'm going to throw out Julio Arca.
Julio Arca was in the starting 11. Niall, you're up, mate.
Liam Lawrence, was he in that team?
Liam Lawrence was in the team. Here we go.
Yep.
See? Doing well, chaps. Back to you, Martin.
Well, was the goalkeeper Poom?
No, the goalkeeper was not Poom. So Martin loses a life.
Loses a life. Was he not on the bench?
He wasn't on the bench. I think I might have given a clue by saying certain players unlock certain players, but I'm not going to go down that route.
Do I get another go?
Sorry, Gary's go next. Sorry.
Oh, mine doesn't have to keep going and lose all his life at once.
No. Sorry, Gary. It's got really tense, this game now, isn't it?
It is. It's a bit of an edge to
it. Gary Breen?
Gary Breen is... double checking. Not in the team. So no, Gary Breen. So Nick McCarthy's side, 2004 Coca-Cola Championship.
All right. I'm going to go for Carl Robinson.
Correct. He's in there. Carl Robinson. Back to Martin. If you get one wrong, you're out.
Marcus Stewart.
Marcus Stewart up front. Correct.
I think that one's just prompted me now. You said Stewart. I'm going to Bridges. Michael Bridges.
Michael Bridges. See, here we go.
Oh, that's a good one, though.
Back to Niall.
Was Michael Bridges in that team? Was he? Did he come on?
He started in the first 11.
Did he? That's mad.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go for... Was Jeff Whitley in the team?
Jeff Whitley was in the team.
Get in.
So you've actually only got 3 left to go. This is I don't think I actually. I know everyone gets a point actually if you get them all.
Mm.
All right. I'm trying to think who would have been playing right back, and I've got 2 names. Stephen Wright, right back.
Who?
Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright. No, not Stephen Wright. Sorry, Martin.
Oh, I'm out. I'm gone, am I?
You're a goner. Gary, if you get this wrong...
that was a good answer.
If you get this wrong, Niall wins.
Oh.
What, by virtue of not even having a go?
No, I should have to answer another one.
No, exactly. Yeah, you can have it. Yeah.
Oh, wait, actually...
No, he's got a life. He's got a life.
I've got
As the was obviously going along, he's got a life, so yeah. He will win it. Good job, that's what we're doing.
Someone already said Neil Collins.
No, Neil Collins is there. Neil Collins is in the team.
Good shout, that, Gary.
That's a great shout.
And that's just helped me, Gary. Does that mean that means Danny Collins is in the team? Danny Collins. Yeah, Danny Collins. Oh, God.
So you got 2. Gary, back to you, mate. You've got 2 left.
Oh, no one's even said the keeper, have they?
No, the keeper is still there. The keeper is probably the easier out of the 2, actually.
Yeah. Struggling here.
Gonna have to rush up.
Ben Alnick.
To drag the game on slightly longer, he's on the bench.
Oh my Christ.
I think I might have the keeper, but
Do I have to go again though?
Well, unless you want to pass and just give it up.
I think
We've
I have to
done well.
pass. I'm out of names.
I think
Go
I
on.
might. I think I might have the other two, but I probably don't.
Go for both of them.
Is the goalkeeper? This is going to be wrong. And is the goalkeeper Thomas Myra?
Thomas Myra in goal. Yep,
correct. Right. And now this one's probably this one. I don't think is right, but I remember him having a spell of games, and it's just thinking about the defense. I don't know. It's probably totally wrong, and everyone's probably going to be like, "Even who is he?" Or, I'm lying. Is it Mark Lynch?
Oh, what? Well done.
Is it Mark Lynch?
He was terrible.
Was it actually Mark Lynch?
Mark Lynch. I mean, I just assume you didn't just Google it, but well done, Niall. That was superb.
No, I promise you I did. No,
so your team there that lost 2-0 to Millwall. So Myra in goal, Lynch, Danny Collins, Carl Robinson, Neil Collins, Steve Caldwell, Liam Lawrence, Jeff Whitley, Michael Bridges, Marcus Stewart, Julio Arca. Lads on the bench included Ben Orwick, Dean Whitehead, Sean Thornton, Darren Carter, and Chris Brown. Well done, guys. So Niall is the leaderboard of 2 points.
I forgot Mark Lynch's name, for ages. I knew who it was, but I was thinking, and I just I couldn't quite grasp it, and then I
wouldn't have got that all night now. Well played.
I wouldn't have got Mark Lynch. I wouldn't have got him. I was saying I've all night and not got him. Well done, lads. Good work. Right, so moving on, we've got, obviously we did put a bit of a mention out earlier on to the Twitter and the Instagram, just basically to, again, we want to hear your stories, we really do. And one of the people who did get involved did message us was actually the Sunderland AFC branch liaison council. They've been in touch and they're working very closely with Washington Mind and the Foundation of Light to create a drop-in for mental health hub on match days for football fans. It's the first of its kind in the country and offers anyone who's experiencing difficult times a place to go for support and advice. It's open to both Black Cat fans and also fans of the away team every Saturday, Sunderland at home between 11:45 and 2:45. For more information, go to the foundationlight.co.uk. Don't suffer alone. It is always good to talk. So if you've had any sort of issues or problems, go to the foundationlight.co.uk for more information on that. But as I did say, we did hit Twitter and Instagram to get some more stories. And they were quite varied. We did put a little bit of quite a few questions out there. So there was like nightmare journeys, sat in the wrong end at games. If a game was postponed, what did you do instead? Meeting Sunderland players in non-libelous situations. Can't stress that enough. And once again, you guys delivered from SAFC North Yorkshire. And they are at SAFC_N Yorkshire. This is a great one. Man United away in the FA Cup was replay in 1986. Got my head stuck in railings after giving one of their players stick. I think it was Mark Hughes. The fence had to be forced apart so I could get out. I missed the train and got home at 4 a.m. Very tired at school the following day. That is an amazing story.
Was that with or without the railings?
I got my head stuck in railings. Now that tickled me.
Did you take them on the train?
We've all been there, I'm sure.
I've got my head. I got my head stuck in the railings of Buckingham Palace one day.
Did you really?
I did.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's why he's now living in Australia, isn't it? Not allowed back in the country.
Been banished. By,
who are you hurling abuse at, Martin?
I was trying to get a closer look at the Queen for some reason.
Martin, how old were you at this point, please?
I was 36. No, I was probably about 8 or 9. I have to say, so old enough to know better, I think. But I have got a large head as well. So those two things combined Yes.
Fantastic. See?
There you go.
This is why we do this, because we get little gems like that. Martin got his head stuck in Buckingham Palace. So now I know what to introduce you as next time you're on the pod. James Fox wrote to us saying, Fratton Park semi-final this year. So that's obviously going to be the playoffs. Atmosphere in there was brilliant. Final whistle and leaving and felt the best. Live local to Portsmouth and got the train to the game, but was kicked off at the station by the busies, his word, because I was an SAFC fan. That's really unfair. You know, just to kick off the train just because he's a Sunderland fan.
Well, a game of all.
That's Portsmouth for you, isn't it? Right, Michael Pole took our lads to Stoke away from London a few years back. A first away game. All good getting there, but snow caused a 14-hour journey home, including me spinning the car 180 degrees on some ice at 50 miles an hour on the motorway. She's not been to a game since. 14 hours to get home from Stoke to London.
What?
I think
Some journey that, mind.
I think you could walk it quicker than that, surely. 14 hours. Martin, how long does it take you to get to Australia?
24 hours, so you could have got pretty close.
Crikey, that's some good
Could have
going.
made it Singapore, I think.
One more here. We've got P_Ryan_H. It was a very quick one on the Instagram. Southampton 8-0 away, so already is a crap day. He was staying in Havant, fell asleep on the train, woke up in Bognor Regis. I'll tell you what, I've been to Bognor Regis without losing 8-0, and that's bad enough. Never mind when you're absolutely tanked. So, there you go then. So another good stories from you. That is all for this week. But I say we do want to hear more of your tales following Sunderland. And to be honest, we want them more random, the better. If you have sent them in so far, we are going to be storing them up like squirrels so we can keep reading them out on future pods. Also, we're always after branch news, any kind of future meetups. Let other fans know that that you're in their area, and even come and join us on the pod. Find us on our Twitter pages, the ROKER Report, the ROKER Report pod page, Macam Exiles, or you can even send us an email at rokerreport@yahoo.com. And finally, we do have one story from earlier. There was quite a big debate in the WhatsApp group if it was to be read out or not. I fully distanced myself from it, and Niall was all over it like a rash and wanted to read it out. So Niall, I'm going to leave this one with you.
No, I think it deserves to be read out. I don't know what everyone's problem was. To be honest, Brett, I think you were in the minority here. Everybody else wanted it read out, just not you. But
to be fair, I did feel a losing battle for quite a lot this morning.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm more curious about it. So, if Ellis Wilson can get back to us at some point and explain the story, then I'm happy with that. But he's basically said someone's granddad tried to finger one of my mate's arses all the way to Manchester. Now, Manchester. Well, Manchester is quite a long way. Manchester from Sunderland. I'm presuming he's come from Sunderland.
Well, so, you could be coming from anywhere.
Well, to be honest, I just feel like this granddad has done the persistence there. I mean, that is just that's commitment all the way from Sunderland to Manchester, consistent at this. I mean, to be honest, I know a lot of people might think that's a bit backward, but I find that impressive. Maybe that's more, me, but that's determination. So yeah, brilliant.
There's a lot of unanswered questions there.
I mean, I think Ellis Wilson 15 needs to come back to us. That's his Twitter handle, Ellis Wilson 15. He needs to come back and explain more of this story because I just think did he succeed? Did he get there? I don't know, but I just think a little bit of appreciation for this granddad. I think he's done all right.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
And on that note, if we're back next week, who knows? Thank you very much for listening. Martin in Australia, thanks for having you, mate.
Cheers now.
Gary over in London, thanks for being on.
Always a pleasure.
Niall, thank you for reading that out for me.
Cheers, lads. I'm on my way to Manchester. See you later.
See you later. Take care.
Well done. Hopefully the same thing happens.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That will be interesting.
Yeah,
I love that you didn't just read the story; you took that to new levels now.
Yeah, I did that. That was impressive.
It's what-
I thought he was
it's
going to
what
cut
Niall
it.
I'm seeing it better.
That's not getting cut. That's going on first.
It's
It's going to be in the opening sequence.
That's all literally it. It'll be fingered his arsehole, sponsored by Vaux Breweries. And on that note, thanks, guys.
Right. Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye.